We sat in silence for a long time. Then she said, "So what now? You wanna play happy family? Buy matching necklaces?" I shook my head. "No, I want to know what happened. And I want to help you." She exhaled slowly. "I don't need help." I didn't argue. Instead, I said, "I'll be here whenever you're ready." And I stood up to leave. Before I walked out, she called out, "Lena?" I turned. She gave me the smallest smile. "Thanks." That night, I didn't go home. I just walked down empty streets, past flickering street lamps, through the kind of stillness that makes you feel like you're the only person left in the world. I should have felt hopeful. I found her. I found Ellie. But instead, I felt raw. Like my heart had been dragged through a memory it wasn't ready to touch again. She didn't remember. Not all of it, at least. And even if a part of her did, she didn't want to believe it. Could I blame her? If your entire life was a lie, would you want to know? The next few days blurred. I kept going to work. Kept typing, filing, nodding when people spoke to me. But my mind was always on her. I checked on her case. Bail hadn't been posted. She was still in holding. I debated paying it. I had the money saved. But I didn't want to scare her off. Didn't want her to think I was trying to own her. So I waited, and hoped she'd reach out again. And then 3 days later she did. She called from the detention center. Her voice was different this time. Softer, less sharp. "Can you come back?" she asked. My heart leapt. "Yes. Anytime. Tomorrow. 11 a.m. I'll be there." Click. No goodbye. But that was okay. She called. She wanted to see me. That was enough. The second visit was different. She looked at me like she'd been thinking. Not just wondering, remembering. She sat down slowly and said, "You were right." I blinked. "About what?" She looked down at her hands. "There was this lady. When I was little. She told me to call her Mama Joe. But she wasn't nice. She was always moving. Changing houses. Names. Sometimes I had to wear a hoodie and sunglasses when we went outside. I felt a chill in my spine. She said people were after us. That we had to be careful. She dyed my hair. Cut it short. Wouldn't let me go to school until I was older." Her voice cracked. I thought it was just because we were poor. Or in trouble. But now I think she stole me. I reached across the table. "Ellie, I don't remember the day it happened," she whispered. "But I remember crying. Screaming in a car. I remember my throat hurting. And her yelling at me to shut up." Tears welled in her eyes. I thought I was being punished. For something I didn't do. I felt something inside me shatter. 20 years. 20 years of silence. Of confusion. Of this woman stealing not just her life but her truth. I wanted to scream. To hit something. To make someone pay. But instead, I just said, "We can find her. We can figure out who she was." Ellie shook her head. "She's dead. Overdose. I was 14. That's when the state picked me up. Gave me a new name. Elena Grace Maddox." I sat back. So that's why the records began then. Because everything before that had been hidden. She looked at me then. "You really waited all this time?" I smiled, tears blurring my vision. "Of course I did. You were never gone from me. And this time," she reached for my hand. "We sat like that for a long time. Sisters. Together again. In the ugliest, coldest room in the world. But it didn't matter. Because we had each other." After that, everything moved fast. I talked to a private investigator. We opened a case. We submitted DNA. It matched. She was officially confirmed as Ellie Brennan missing person since 2005. The headlines picked up quick. Lost twin found after 20 years. Kidnapped girl reunited with sister. It was surreal. The press tried to talk to us. I shielded her as best I could. Ellie didn't want attention. She just wanted to breathe. She got released soon after. The shoplifting charges were dropped. Extenuating circumstances, trauma, the DA took mercy. She moved in with me. Not permanently, she wasn't ready for that. But for a little while. Until she could get her own place. Find her footing. Every night we talked. About the things we missed. The shows we used to watch. The way Mom used to make grilled cheese with extra butter. The fireflies in Grandma's backyard. And slowly, she smiled more, laughed. She started drawing again. Stars, mostly. But not everything was healed. Some nights, she'd wake up screaming. Sweating. Clutching her chest like she couldn't breathe. Sometimes she'd stare at herself in the mirror for too long. Like she wasn't sure who was staring back. One night, I found her sitting on the bathroom floor. Whispering, "Who am I? Who am I?" I held her for an hour. Didn't say anything. Just held her. Because honestly, I didn't know either. She was Ellie. But also Elena. Both. And neither. A girl stolen from herself. Trying to piece together a puzzle that had been scattered across decades. It happened on a Thursday. Ellie had been quiet all day. She barely touched her food, just sat on the couch. Sketching stars over and over again. I didn't push her. I'd learned by then that sometimes she needed space. Not because she didn't want to talk. But because the things inside her were too heavy to say out loud. But that night, just as I was brushing my teeth, she came into the bathroom and sat on the edge of the tub. She was pale. Her fingers trembled slightly as she said, "I remembered something." I turned off the faucet. She looked at me, eyes wide and glassy. "There was a man." I froze. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "He used to visit. Not often. But when he did, Mama Joe got scared. She'd lock the doors. Pull the blinds." My stomach turned. What did he look like? She shook her head. Tall. Dark hair. Deep voice. He never said his name. But I called him the Shadow Man. Because he always came when it was dark. She was shaking now. He never touched me. But he brought envelopes. Thick ones. With money. And sometimes, he yelled at her. Told her she wasn't doing it right. Doing what? Ellie's lip quivered. Keeping me hidden. I sat beside her. I didn't want to believe what I was hearing. But some part of me had always known there was more. I thought she'd just been kidnapped by a stranger. A horrible, random act of cruelty. But this? This sounded orchestrated. Deliberate. Ellie looked up at me. I think she was paid to take me. I couldn't sleep that night. I dug through the old police reports. There had always been one thing that bugged me. No forced entry. We'd been playing in the yard. The gate was unlocked. But there were no signs of a struggle. It was like she'd just walked away. What if she had? What if Mama Joe hadn't snatched her from the bushes? What if she'd called Ellie over and Ellie had trusted her? What if someone let her in? The thought hit me so hard, I couldn't breathe. The week after Ellie disappeared, our dad left. He'd been distant ever since. Tense. Snapping at Mom. Sleeping on the couch. After she vanished, he said he couldn't take it anymore. And then he was gone. He sent a few postcards. Then nothing. I hadn't thought about him in years. But now, I wondered,